Wow, but in October of sports with the NHL now underway and the NBA tipping off next Tuesday, we want to help you celebrate the opening week, both on the ice and the hardwood. Every NHL daily package is only $9 through Monday, October 18th. And yes, that includes 5% NHL plays, regularly priced at $35. For you NBA fans, we'll be offering the same incredible deal next week when basketball returns. From opening night through Monday, October 25th, get every NBA package for only $9, including all 5% top plays. Plus, don't forget that WagerTalk TV will again be airing both Puck Time and the NBA Tip-Off Show every Monday through Friday.
Welcome into the best damn college football show out there, part of College Football Today, right here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. I am Drew Martin, joined by Ralph Michaels and Robbie Veno, WagerTalk.com. Guys, we're breaking down 4 games on the slate. We got our pens ready to rock. We got best bets at the end. First up here, Ralph Michaels. Check him out at WagerTalk.com. And guys, real quick here, if you're not checking out Ralph Michaels' college football game logs, he does them for the NFL as well. I check them both out. You need to. He puts it out on Twitter. He's also got them up on his homepage at WagerTalk. They got plays per game. They got, we were just working on something else that's going to be real key here for handicappers out there. You're going to want to see. I'll leave that up to him, though. Ralph, welcome into the show, buddy. Good to see you.
Hey, guys. Missed last week. You had a great show. I watched it. I always enjoy it. And looking forward. A big weekend for me. I do want to mention a special I have. Only the third time in, I think, 3 years that I'm having a 5% on both Saturday and Sunday the same weekend. Normally a 7-day all access is $149. I have a code RM49. You'll get 7 days of all access for the price of 2 plays, just $70 all 7 days. Get both 5%. I'll have both 5% loaded by Thursday afternoon. So looking forward to this weekend.
Yeah, looking forward to it as well. And Robbie, welcome in, buddy. Always good to see you and hear your analysis. Welcome in.
Good afternoon, Drew. Ralph, always one of our favorite segments of the week right here on The Best Damn. So let's go ahead and get through these 4 and see if we can provide the folks watching us with a couple extra winning tickets this week. It was a good week last week, so let's hope we can repeat it again this week.
It was. You knocked it out of the park. Let's look to do that again here. Starting off in the Big 12, we got Oklahoma State and Texas kicking us off here in Austin. 12 noon Eastern on Fox. -5.5. That's the Texas Longhorns at home, Ralph. 59.5 being the total. We get Oklahoma State. You know, Spencer Sanders, Robbie and I were talking about it. You know, he really hasn't progressed like we would have liked since being a freshman, plus the fact Oklahoma State in this defense, Mike Gundy having a good defense. Man, this under of 60 right now. This is kind of tickling my fancy. How are you feeling about this game, side and total, Ralph?
Well, you know, how often are we going to hear, Drew, we don't want one loss to cost you 2. Texas obviously blowing leads of 28-7 and 41-23. You know, I am much more apt to have faith in a team that blew a bad game like Texas did with a first-year head coach because they can see the progress they're making. Yes, they lost to Arkansas. That was a game, their first road start, and it was ugly. But since that time, we saw what they did to Texas Tech. We saw what they did to TCU on the road. You know, the team is building. So having an energetic first-year head coach, I think Texas can rebound. You talked about that Oklahoma State defense, guys. And I am one to look at not necessarily how many yards they gave up, but how many yards they gave up under what a team averages for the rest of the season. And they have held Missouri State, Kansas State, and Baylor, each of their last 2 foes, to a season low. They held Kansas State to 126 yards under their season average. They held Baylor to 225 under their season average. You know, one concern I do have is when I have a team that rushes for 5.7 yards per carry versus a team that rushes for only 3.5 yards per carry, I often do lean with that rush team. But then when I look at the rush D, this Texas defense is allowing 5.4 yards per carry, and the Oklahoma State D is allowing only 2.7. Obviously, you look at the slate of offenses Oklahoma State has played, and they don't nearly compare to what Texas. The best offense you faced was Baylor last week at home or Boise on the road, but that Boise team was very banged up as well. So I agree with what you said and how you started this out, Drew. Oklahoma State making their first conference road game. Spencer Sanders throwing for only 58%. At least once, maybe twice on this show, Drew, you, Rob, and I have all talked about how they're missing Hubbard and Wallace and, NFL players that they don't normally recruit and have filled into their possession. I agree that under is the way to go. I think Texas wants to get back to running the ball. I think we see an Oklahoma State team that, doesn't have the confidence in Sanders. We've seen that. They ran the ball 59 times last week, only passed the ball 23. The week before, they ran 43 times, only passed 34. Both of those situations are true. We have a noon early start. Yeah, Texas's offense got off to a quick noon start last week. I don't know if that happens against this week. I do like the under in this game.
Yeah, Ralph. And, Robbie, coming to you next, I think they're playing a lot better defense this week, talking about Oklahoma State's defense over Oklahoma's. So I think that's going to help a lot. We're seeing, 60 out there, 59.5, talking totals-wise. Texas -5 in the hook at home. Robbie, what's your feel here, OSU and Texas?
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly, Drew. Like you say, we talked about this game together in a different segment. And it's been a complete offensive transformation for Mike Gundy. No longer is it extreme tempo. No longer is it, spread, work the pass off of the run. It's really run, and run again. And you can prove it by his play calling numbers so far this season. Play calling percentages for Oklahoma State, 62.8% run. It's about 63 run, 37 pass. It's unlike Mike Gundy to go that route. But again, Spencer Sanders and the receiving core is young. I think that's where they feel it the most. The Chuba Hubbard loss, he really didn't play during COVID last year, and they established 3 other backs. So the running game has been what's been good for them. They've gone in a couple of games here, guys, for 246 against Boise State and then 219 against Baylor. Texas's run defense, Ralph pointed out these numbers. Texas's run defense has been a sieve. And I think, there's an old saying, if you give me a good run offense and the better overall defense, then I'll play that side getting points. I think to build the case for Oklahoma State, you're getting points here with a team that should be able to effectively run the football. Their run defense, as Ralph said, 2.8 yards per carry if you don't weed out the sack numbers. I don't have the true rushing yards in front of me, but it's very, very good for run defense per carry. And Bijan Robinson hasn't seen a defense like this in the last 3 weeks. Now, Texas has put up huge numbers, but again, you could argue it's 3 of the worst defenses in Big 12 football right now. TCU, worst defense I've seen Gary Patterson put on the field. They don't tackle. They kind of flail rather than tackle. Texas Tech, we've seen Texas Tech get destroyed more than one time now. And, of course, Oklahoma last week, which has their issues in the secondary for sure. Robinson made sure that we knew that you could run on Oklahoma as well. I think it's a different ball game here. And even if I go to the pass defense, guys, for Oklahoma State, just to fortify how good their defense has been in both ways, they've only allowed 55.4% completions for the season. Gundy told us at Big 12 Media Days it was the fastest, most physical, best tackling defense he's had in his tenure. The numbers bear that out. What he lied to us about, as I said earlier, Drew, is the fact that he thought Spencer Sanders turned a corner, and he hasn't. I think they'll be very happy to hand the football off, to make their yards, to grind the clock. You can't shut Texas down. I don't believe that at all. But I think you can contain them and keep them to 23 or 24. If they do so, they're in a good spot to cover, and I think they're in a really good spot to stay under the number.
I like it, guys. Great way to start here. 12 noon Eastern Oklahoma State and Texas. We got another good one here, Robbie, coming back to you with Kentucky and Georgia. The SEC 3:30 on CBS. We get the Georgia Bulldogs laying 22.5 with only a total of 44.5. So low total with a big favorite at home. Always an interesting handicap when that's kind of at stake here, Robbie. We get the Georgia Bulldogs. They've kind of had their way in this series. However, they're also going a bye week and then the largest outdoor cocktail party, which has kind of been a fade scenario. But at the same time, this is as big of a game as it gets in the SEC East here, Robbie. We get the Kentucky Wildcats 6-0 straight up, 5-0 against the spread this season. Stoops and the boys against FBS competition. So they have been a beast in terms of a bet-on team. What are you thinking here with the Kentucky Wildcats? Do they have a chance to stay within 3 touchdowns in between the hedges, Robbie?
There's always a chance, right, Drew? It's college football. There's always a chance. Texas A&M beat Alabama outright last week, so there's always a chance. I'll start by saying that my power ratings made the game Georgia minus 25.5, so I'm a little heavy there. Obviously, this line has been carried downward. There's been Kentucky money show up. We're midweek right here, so it's shown up for the first few days that it's been bettable. This handicap, from a fundamental standpoint, starts and ends with the question, can the Kentucky offense run the football against Georgia? What Kentucky does best is keep it on the ground, and what Georgia does best is not allow you anything on the ground. The last 2 offensive lines and ground games that Georgia has played, Auburn and Arkansas, are comparable to Kentucky, certainly. And those 2 teams were shut down, shut off, turned away, however you want to phrase it. Georgia didn't allow anything to those 2 teams. Those are 37-0 and 34-10 final scores. More than the 22.5 they're asked to lay here. I think what makes matters worse for Kentucky in this game is if you can't run the football. And let me just back up 1 second by saying the added part to the Kentucky offense is when Will Levis, the Penn State transfer, runs the football, right? Big kid, runs the football. However, the last 2 weeks in a row, Georgia has faced teams with running quarterbacks, dual threat quarterbacks. KJ Jefferson, nowhere to go. Bo Nix, nowhere to go. In fact, if you want the exact numbers on those guys, KJ Jefferson, 8 carries for 5 yards. Bo Nix, 10 carries for minus 16 yards. Levis, I don't know, is going to do a whole heck of a lot better. Yes, he's a bigger guy. No, he's not faster than Bo Nix. No, he's not faster than Jefferson. So I don't know where Kentucky goes offensively here. It's been nice. The 2 backs have done real well, Rodriguez and Smoke. But this is too good of a defense to me. UK is certainly run heavy. When you look at the play calling numbers, 62% run, 38% pass. They don't really want to throw it. When they throw it, they have 1 legit receiver. Wan'Dale Robertson was Mr. Kentucky high school football, transferred in from Nebraska. He's a big-time threat, no question. But their second leading receiver, Josh Ali, is out of this game again. And if you take their next 2 wide receivers, guys, combined, they have 10 catches. So you go from 37 catches with Robinson down to your next 2 guys only having 10. Your tight end only has 6. They're not a throwing team. Georgia's got enough of a secondary to handle 1 guy. So offensively, I think this is a real problem for Kentucky. I think another real problem for Kentucky is self-imposed, really. And, certainly they want to be this, but they're walking in here 6-0 as an SEC East divisional foe. They're the biggest threat to Georgia in the East right now with their record. I mean, obviously, I think Florida might be a little more talented team, but Kentucky already beat Florida. So this is Georgia's biggest divisional game right now. And when you walk in with a bullseye and Georgia can have some kind of focus, if you're going to take 22.5, you hope that Georgia's not ready to play this game. They're going to be ready to play this game. And offensively, whether it's been JT Daniels or Stetson Bennett, hasn't mattered. You could argue Bennett's been just as good at quarterback. I think that Georgia, they've shown the past couple of weeks, they're going to get their points, guys, no matter what. They can run the football. The way their offensive line uprooted Arkansas pretty much sold me that week. I think they can uproot the Kentucky defense. Kentucky's defense probably wears down in this game from a bunch of 3-and-outs. So I'm going to take probably Georgia here. But I'll say this, and to what Ralph has told us for 2 years, Alabama first half, Alabama first half, Alabama first half. All of a sudden, that's becoming Georgia first half this year. Georgia's 6-0 against the number first half. If you think they're going to come out of the chute from the opening kick and play determined football, then you probably want to bet Georgia first half. They've walked out of here with leads against every single team they've played. And I think that maybe first half would even be a safer way to go than full game. So it may be Georgia first half even better than Georgia full game.
Yeah, old faithful there. Alabama first half didn't come through this past week, but heck, maybe to Robbie's point, it's turned into the Georgia Bulldogs. You know, Ralph, kind of leading into this game, I concentrated on Kentucky, and they're against the spread and straight up record. Can't take anything away from Georgia, the number one team in the country, 6-0 straight up, 5-1 against the spread, very profitable on the season. This is a good one in Athens. You think Kentucky has more than a puncher's chance to knock them off, Ralph?
No, not at all. Thanks for leaving me absolutely no notes, Rob. I really appreciate you, going that long. At some point, you're supposed to take a breath and let the other guy share some information. But hey, I'm glad you did. While you were talking, Rob, and breaking down the game, I actually went to look up a record, Drew, that you just talked about. So we have a college football favorite of 21 or more and a total of 47 or less. What do you think the record is for the favorites in those games?
I'm going to guess not very good, but I'm also very open to the possibility I'm wrong.
Well, you're right. And again, this isn't a point for Kentucky. I'm just sharing actual data with you so you can make your own determination. When a favorite in college football of 21 or more points in a game that actually is 46 or less, I misspoke with the 47. Going back since 2013, 34 ATS wins, 50 ATS losses, so 40.5%. So it's a 59.5% dog, 59.5% ATS play, taking a dog of 21 or more with a very low total. And it makes complete sense when you talk that through because, you have an undefeated dog that's playing great, that's getting that many points with a low total. But like Alabama of past, this Georgia's defense is so good. I mean, it is next level. And the problem when you have a number 1 or a number 130 is you can't quantify the 1. Yes, you're the best, but you may actually be negative 12. You may be 13 spots better than the number 2. But you don't get that same love or same pub because you're just number 1 spot better than number 2. I look at this Georgia, and I was on Georgia first half, Rob, so thanks for bringing that up. And the WagerTalk logs that Drew talked about has first quarter and first half scoring, lines, and totals. Let me run down Georgia's first half scores. 7-0, 35-0, 26-6, 38-0, 24-0, and 17-3. They've given up 9 first half points this year, have shut out 4 opponents, and I am absolutely on Georgia first half. This Kentucky team, yeah, they played well against Florida. Wrong. They were outgained 224-382. So you were at home against Florida, and you put up 224 yards. You went to South Carolina, the second worst team in college football in the SEC, and you gained 332 yards. I don't think this team gains 250. I think they get shut out in the first half. You look at the sacks. Kentucky loud. 4 sacks to ULM, 2 to Missouri, 2 to Florida. You look at this Georgia team. 7 sacks against Clemson, 4 sacks against Arkansas, 4 sacks on the road against Auburn last week. First half whitewash, Georgia.
I like it. Good stuff from Ralph Michaels. And Ralph, just to double check, that was 34-50. A dog of 21 plus and 46 or less as the total, that would be the favorite.
Correct.
34 and 50. I like it.
Yeah,
Did you know how far back that
40.5%.
goes?
So
what year?
Yeah, I went back to 2013, Drew.
Wow. And so that's only happened, 84 times since 2013, this profile of side and total in Division I college football.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to pretty much have a conference game in the SEC to have a total in the 46 or less.
Maybe Big
and I'm
Ten
going to
too.
guess, let me take a look.
I could see it happening in the Big Ten route.
2021, it's happened twice this year. Iowa, Colorado State covered against Iowa, and Georgia did cover against UAB. And Georgia was the last team last year as well, where they lost to Mississippi State. So, you know what? Georgia against Kentucky in 2019. I'm looking at the last 10 plays, and it's 34 and 50. But 3 of those wins actually were Georgia. Georgia against UAB this year, Georgia against Mississippi State last year, and Georgia against Kentucky in 2019. So while the dog has covered 59.5%, the dog is actually 0-3 facing the Georgia Bulldogs the last 3 years.
Good stuff here. The best damn college football show, Wager Talk YouTube channel. Come back and join us each and every Wednesday, 4 p.m. Eastern. Robbie, before we head to the next game, you got something?
If you wanted to make a hypothetical out of that and just drop Georgia, I know the lines weren't that, minus 21.5, 46 total or less. But if you put those parameters around Georgia the last 2 weeks, and when Ralph said 47 in the beginning, it would have been 1-0 and a push. If you put those parameters around Georgia the last 2 weeks, 34-10 is a better than 21.5 point win and under 46. And 37-0, they both fit that profile. 37-0, you win by more than 21.5 and you stay under 46. So the last 2 weeks, even though the closing lines weren't the way Ralph described, if you use those parameters for Georgia the last 2 weeks, it would have been Georgia and under both times.
I like it, Robbie. Guys, we got 2 games left. Best bets at the end, 12 noon Eastern on ESPN. Next game up, the Florida Gators travel to Baton Rouge, Louisiana here, Ralph, facing the LSU Tigers. The Tigers. Minus 11 is Florida on the road. 59 the total. What are we liking here in Tiger Stadium, Ralph?
Well, LSU burned me last week. I was on them against Kentucky, and watching them and seeing how many more players got hurt, they're just a team I cannot play on. One number I did forget, Rob, I'm going to add 1 point to the Georgia game, if you don't mind, if I could throw in just one.
Yeah.
I did read a couple times Georgia's 0-6 ATS before Florida, but there's a difference this year with the bye week. So that's a number that I'll throw out. I've also seen Florida, I think, 1-4 before the Georgia game. I think it's so much different. They don't always have a bye week prior to. So that number I wanted to throw out. But this LSU team, I think the Ed Orgeron national championship is wearing out. The team averaging 380 yards. They're getting outgained on the season. They're getting out first down on the season. They're rushing for 2.9 yards per carry. They're passing under 60%. They're allowing under 64%. And, I cringe when I hear the word revenge. I mean, every NFL game has revenge because someone beat each other last time they played. 99% of the college football games, somebody has revenge. But I do think there is meaningful revenge. And this Florida team has it. Why? Last year, early in the season, they lost to A&M. They fought their way back. They were AP number 6 when they were a 23-point home favorite against LSU, the final regular season game of the year. They lost that game. They then lost to Alabama in the SEC championship, and then they got crushed in their bowl game. That was a complete bubble burst game, losing as a 23-point favorite. I will circle that as revenge. I will also say this. I look at Florida, and Florida's defense in the first half has been spectacular, with the exception of the 21 points against Alabama. And we know how good Alabama's is. You take out the Alabama game, Florida first half, 5 unders, no overs. Points allowed, 0, 3, 14, 7, 0. Most points they scored, with the exception of the USF game, 21 points. They don't get out to those great starts. We're going to see him start bringing in Richardson some more. He's been injured. Emory Jones has been playing great, 479 yards against them. But remember, this is now a road game. They went to Kentucky. They had a 382-yard edge, but they could not score in the red zone. I think they're more conservative here. I think they handle LSU's offense early. I do like Florida in the first half in this one.
Like in the fighting Gators here on the road. Of course, it's not a night game, though, in LSU, Robbie. What are you thinking here with the Bayou Bangers and the Florida Gators?
Well, I'm glad you let Ralph go first that time, because he would have been ultra mad at me if I went first and said just about everything he said there. I agree. The revenge part I had marked down because I, too, believe that the way they lost that game last year. Remember, LSU limped into that game. I believe Max Johnson was the quarterback, but by then, every wide receiver that was meaningful to that team had opted out. So they were coming in with guys that were 4th and 5th wide receivers on that team, really no chance to win the game, and they pulled it off. Florida won't forget that. Dan Mullen won't forget that. I'll add to what Ralph said in favor of Florida here. And last week, I was on a happier side of that LSU-Kentucky game. I had played it over the number, and Kentucky, just ran roughshod over this team. After watching what UCLA did to LSU early in the year running the football, and again with a dual-threat quarterback in Dorian Thompson-Robinson, it was expected that Kentucky might be able to do the same. They did do the same, 330 rushing yards last week. And again, these are 2 running quarterbacks, DTR on the UCLA side, Will Levis on the Kentucky side. And here you're going to get, as Ralph said, Emory Jones and Richardson. So it's obviously problematic for LSU defensively to stop teams that can run the football and have that added dimension of a running quarterback. I think that that's a problem for them. They're giving up 433 yards per game if you minus out McNeese State. LSU is, and I watched it too. There's no way I could play LSU at this point in time. This is a week where LSU guys, if they could make the schedule themselves, would probably want to see Vanderbilt. This is like with Boutte now being out for the year. This is like a regroup style of week. Their secondary is a complete and total mess, with 2 of their top 4 gone, and perhaps the number 1 corner in the country in Stingley out for the year, top safety out for the foreseeable future. So Florida can make waves through the air as well in this game. I think Florida is the right side, whether you do them first half or full game. Power ratings, to tell you about how I go about power ratings real quick here, guys, just raw numbers without factoring in injuries made Florida 6.5. The LSU injury situation is well worth more than the 4 that we're seeing right now, 6.5 to 10.5. So I think Florida's probably a 2-touchdown winner here with ease, maybe even more than that. I would look that way. LSU has no ground game to speak of, 84 yards per game on the ground, so one-dimensional on offense. Florida should be able to handle them. So give me Florida full game.
All right, looking towards the Gators there, guys. We got 1 game left. Shout out to the chat box. Everybody joining us live. RJ in the house, Johnny Outlaw. We got Paco Healy from San Diego, California. Shout out to you, Paco. We're breaking down 4 games, 3 in the books, 1 left. Best bets at the end. NC State at Boston College. ACC action Saturday night. ACC Network, 7:30 Eastern kick here, Robbie. NC State, the Wolfpack, minus 3-point road favorites. They've taken a little bit of money since that opener, as you see, 51.5 up to 52 being the total in Chestnut Hill. You liking anything here in the ACC Saturday night, Robbie?
Yeah, I'm a little bit torn here. My power rating showed BC should be a 1.5-point favorite. And NC State is the favorite by well, what started as 2, now up to 3, depending upon where you get your openers, up to 3. It would suggest that there's some value in the Boston College side. I don't know that they've played a schedule good enough as of yet to warrant all of that. But if I just go off of their toughest opponent, which was Clemson, and this is a common opponent for both teams here, the Clemson side. NC State wins their game against them. BC comes ever so close. They lose 19-13. But the quarterback comparison is where I want to go here, guys, because I think in order to win this game, it's going to be won through the air. BC came into this season, and I had a huge asterisk next to them as an over team with Jerkovich at quarterback. He gets hurt. Dennis Grossel takes over. Dennis Grossel has been pretty good in relief, a guy who had some action last year and now a guy who's thrown into the starting spot. But I had them marked as over because they were going to begin to go pass heavy under Jeff Hafley. And they've got a really good aerial attack. Against Clemson, Grossel's numbers were 23 of 40 for 311 yards. Be what they are, Clemson, record-wise, national perception-wise, failure to meet expectation-wise. When you throw for 311 against Clemson, that's doing something. And I think that Boston College can make their way through the air here in this particular game. Other side of that coin, Devin Leary against Clemson went 32 of 44. Less yardage, only 238, more dink and dunk for him. They've got a little bit more of a running game. But all of this leads me toward over in this contest. I kind of understand why this thing has gone up from 51.5 to 52. They both have had a week off to prepare for the other side. I think Hafley's doing a really good job there in Chestnut Hill with this team. NC State's run defense numbers look spectacular overall, but they might be a bit misleading because you're talking about 3 games where they play teams that can't run the football. South Florida, Furman is an FCS team, and Mississippi State doesn't even attempt to run the football. So that's 3 games where they're supposed to hold teams to really low rushing totals in yards per carry. BC is still a run-heavy team, even though they can throw it. They're 60-40 play calling. NC State's extremely well balanced. I think both of these defenses have their hands full in this particular contest. So I think the line movement from 51.5 to 52 is correct. I would play over. And there may be some value in Boston College. This is a team, guys, that's 4-1 against the spread, full game, 4-1 against the spread first half. They've been good. They're at home in a night game. Boston College doesn't get many of these. Crowds should be crazy. I think there might be a little value in BC, but I like the total better.
Okay, good stuff, Robbie. And Ralph, finish us off here. Chestnut Hill, night game. Crowd might be crazy, according to Robbie. What are you thinking here? Value on the home dog?
Well, Rob talked about some numbers, and I'm going to just go to the stat guide on the front of the college football logs. NC State has played the number 84 schedule, and they're plus 139 yards per game. BC's played the number 129 schedule. Now, if you look at the strength of schedules, I do use Sagarin's numbers, so it actually can go as low as 170, which means, there's 30-some FCS teams that have played tougher schedules than a lot of teams. BC number 129 at plus 90 yards per game. So looking at that stat profile, NC State has played a schedule 45 places better, and they are plus 49 yards per game. That would lean to NC State. But I just can't back the NC State team on the road. We often talk first road games, and this is your first road conference game. They went to Mississippi State and they put up 335 yards and only 16 first downs. Now, Mississippi State clearly has a better defense than Boston College, but you're now talking about Leary being on the road again, having the noise, not being familiar. 4 of your first 5 games were at home. Grossel, I want to mention, he came in and Rob talked about him having experience. Hell, this kid 2 years ago, remember BC had played like 5 quarterbacks? He made 7 starts in 2019. So you have a guy who was a 3rd year in the system. He's a Cleveland kid out of St. Ignatius, and I used to, I watched him play a few times. And he's a third-year guy who has started in 3 different seasons, who knows the offense well. Haley, he learned a new offense with Haley, obviously, in his second year. But, he's familiar with the setting. He's familiar with the players. He knows the system as well as anyone. I went back and forth on this game. I can't trust Boston. I can't trust Boston College offense to keep up with NC State. I can't trust NC State on the road. I'm going to give the slightest of lean, agreeing with Rob on the over. But this is a game that I tried dissecting 2 or 3 ways, looking at the first halves, looking at the first quarters. And unfortunately to say, there's just times when, your numbers come up with the same as what Vegas made them. And I don't want to give someone a false player opinion just to try to make a point stronger. So I'm gonna get the thumbs down and be Switzerland and be neutral here and just give a slightest opinion with Rob's over in this game.
Did we lose Drew?
Did we lose Drew? Yeah, it looks like Drew froze. So I guess, Rob, best thing we do is you and I chat till we get Rob back. So sorry for my play in the medium there. Rob does like the over in NC State. And we'll go ahead and start our best bets. Again, I do want to mention the college football logs are free Monday mornings. You go to WagerTalk and then go to Ralph Michaels' homepage or wt.buzz/RM. Check out Rob Veno's page at WagerTalk. Rob, on the leaderboard this past week, I saw, right? 3-day and 7-day. You're on a nice little run, so congratulations. Shoot any promos or what you have going out for this weekend coming up.
Yeah, where college football is concerned, Ralph, we're already up and available with a 4% best bet for Saturday action. Something I spotted early in the week, bet it myself, put it up for clients yesterday, as a matter of fact. We have been on a really good baseball tear. Absolutely. Had both ends of baseball yesterday. Both ends of the Dodger game, as a matter of fact, first 5 and full game came through for us again. So the numbers have been really good. The best numbers have been in the 4% best bets over the last 2 years. Been incredible, over 200% return on investment. So look forward to tomorrow night. We've got more college football, Ralph. We'll be involved Thursday, Friday, already involved Saturday. Looks like we have Drew back. You with us, buddy?
I'm here, Robbie. Yeah, sorry about that power outage in South Florida. So it is what it is. I'm coming to you from Wi-Fi right now, so hopefully it's okay. But yeah, Robbie, anything else you need to finish it up before we get to best bets?
No, we're going to let you lead us into best bets. Me and Ralph were just chit-chatting back and forth, promoing ourselves.
Good. No, sorry about that. It is what it is. Live streaming here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel, so we appreciate everybody joining us. And heck, coming to you Wi-Fi portable with no power on in the studio. But time for best bets, and I guess I can lead us off in case I get kicked off again. OSU and Texas, we talked about it at the top, guys. We get the Texas Longhorns -5.5 at home. Looks like 60 being the total, and actually DraftKings and a.
Oh, he did get bumped.
Yeah, well, he did get kicked off. So
is a important one. But yeah, I guess the Wi-Fi kind of coming out a little bit. But I like the under. We talked about it, Oklahoma State. Their defense, Spencer Sanders, not really progressing at the quarterback position. Mike Gundy, not the offensive mastermind this year, more of a defensive mastermind. So I think Oklahoma State kind of handles Texas's offense enough to keep it under that 60.5. So that's my best bet. Oklahoma State, Texas under. Ralph, throw it over to you, man.
I want to mention, we talked about Gundy and you're using it as the best bet. You have to give Gundy credit. This is a coach that, because of his personnel, completely changed his style. Those are the kind of coaches you got to remember, make notes that if he doesn't have the personnel next year, be a little leery playing totals. Don't jump at you a coach that you're not sure what he's going to handle because of the personnel. So I do give credit to Gundy. I'm going to go under Georgia first half. I mentioned it. It's going to be a play of mine for my clients. They're laying 22 for the game. You do have to lay the premium for the first half. Right now, there's 12.5s or 13s. I am comfortable laying up to the 13 with the Georgia Bulldogs first half. Kentucky's a great story. You know, the SEC is much better when Tennessee and Kentucky are competitive. But you look at what this Kentucky team does. Georgia's played the number 15 schedule, and they are number 2 in the country, plus 229 yards per game. Kentucky has played the number 77 schedule, and they're only plus 106 yards per game. Kentucky, Georgia, first half Bulldogs, whitewash, 24-0.
Like it, Ralph. And Robbie, finish us off here for best bets, buddy.
Yeah, real quick here. I just want to show Ralph that when I did UK and Georgia and talked too long, I still had more to go. And I gave you the Reader's Digest version because Kentucky's, the run defenses that they have faced, guys, real quick here. Monroe, 88 in the country. Missouri, 130 in the country. South Carolina, 81. LSU, 77. And Tennessee, Chattanooga from the FCS. None of those comes close to Georgia. You wonder how Kentucky's ever going to move the football. Team's not built to play from behind. And Drew, we like to do this when we get mid-season here. If you blindly, mechanically bet Georgia, full game, first half, second half, all year long, just woke up and did that, in 6 games, you're 16-2 already, 89% winners. So Georgia, to me, looks like a pretty good side. But that's not going to be the best bet. I'm going to go to the Florida LSU game. Listen, me and Ralph were pretty much in agreement there, covered a lot of territory. I will go full game. He said first half was more of a preference. I'll go full game as a preference here. I don't think Dan Mullen forgets. I don't think Dan Mullen lets up in this particular contest. LSU just in a bad way right now, and it could get out of hand early. Ralph talked about how good Florida has been first half, and I think it spirals from there. Another thing, we made mention of it, that Georgia doesn't have the look ahead to the greatest outdoor cocktail party because they have the bye week next week. That goes for Florida as well. So Florida doesn't have to look, doesn't have to be staring at Georgia or have a look ahead here. So I would say Florida minus the 10.5. I'd expect this line to go up, guys. I think as we get the kickoff, it's going to be even more. So I would play it now. Florida minus the points, best bet for the show.
All right, guys, good stuff for the best bets. Best of luck if you're out there tailing, guys. Huge shout out to the chat box, Johnny Outlaw, RJ, Paco, Healy, everyone. Thanks for joining us live. Please smash that like button. If you got a pen, feel free to join us in holding it up. For Ralph Michaels, Robbie Veno, I am Drew Martin. Guys, best of luck with your bets. We'll talk next Wednesday. Come back and join us. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Wow, but in October of sports with the NHL now underway and the NBA tipping off next Tuesday, we want to help you celebrate the opening week, both on the ice and the hardwood. Every NHL daily package is only $9 through Monday, October 18th. And yes, that includes 5% NHL plays, regularly priced at $35. For you NBA fans, we'll be offering the same incredible deal next week when basketball returns. From opening night through Monday, October 25th, get every NBA package for only $9, including all 5% top plays. Plus, don't forget that WagerTalk TV will again be airing both Puck Time and the NBA Tip-Off Show every Monday through Friday.